Good morning, everybody. I'm Anne Bewe Anamela from Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, in short, NGOCC. And I'll be reading the statement for this morning. So as voting in Zambia's 2026 general elections gets underway today, Thursday, 13th August 2026, with polling stations scheduled to operate from 06 to 18 hours, the Ziko Lathu Consortium, which comprises of Action Aid Zambia, NGOCC, Panos Institute Southern Africa, MISA Zambia, Young Women in Action, and the Global Platform Zambia Network, has deployed monitors across the country to observe the electoral process. Through this nationwide monitoring network, the consortium is tracking proceedings and issuing this first preliminary statement to share its initial observations as voting continues. Preliminary reports from monitors indicate that voting is generally underway across all 10 provinces and 116 districts, with observations covering the opening of polling stations, voter assistance, queue management, extent of inclusion of youth, women, and persons with disabilities, polling station administration, accessibility, and security-related matters. These incidents span several broad categories, with campaign and election-related matters forming the largest share of reports received to date. Others include gender, youth, persons with disabilities, governance, human rights, election campaign, media, health, and environment. So the key preliminary observations so far. First, there has not been any violence against women, youth, or persons with disabilities reported. And indeed, generally, the polls have up to this moment been largely peaceful. Polling stations opened at varying times across the country, with some commencing operations later than the scheduled opening time of 06 hours. While a significant number of polling stations opened on time, isolated cases of delayed opening were observed. For example, as at 10:35, Ndoloka polling station in Kasama North had not yet opened, with voters waiting for polling to commence. In addition, some polling stations experienced delays in the delivery of ballot materials, including a reported case in Southern Province where materials arrived at 07:47 hours. Several challenges related to operational readiness were observed during the opening of polls. Some polling stations reported inadequate or missing voting booths, a situation that has the potential to slow down the voting process and compromise voter privacy. In some cases, election officials were required to improvise alternative arrangements, resulting in concerns and anxiety among voters and polling staff. Reports were received of some voters being unable to cast their ballots due to identification and voter registration-related challenges. These included voters whose names could not be found in the voters' register, individuals presenting voter cards that did not correspond with their assigned polling stations, and others attempting to vote using outdated voter cards. Assistance provided to elderly voters and persons with disabilities appeared to be inconsistent across some polling stations. While some voters received the necessary support to facilitate their participation in the voting process, others were reportedly overlooked, raising concerns about the uniform application of measures intended to ensure inclusive and accessible voting. In conclusion, preliminary reports received by the Ziko Lathu Consortium indicate that voting is generally proceeding peacefully across the country. Observed challenges have largely been administrative and operational, including delayed openings at some polling stations, late or missing election materials, inadequate voting booths, limited voting streams, queue management concerns, overcrowding, and voter register related issues. Recorded delays in opening times range from 06:16 to 07:10 hours. The consortium will continue to assess whether these incidents are isolated or indicative of broader operational trends as additional reports are received. While some delays have caused anxiety among voters and may create localized tension, if not addressed promptly, the overall environment remains calm and orderly at this preliminary stage. The consortium is channeling all matters observed to the relevant authorities, including the Electoral Commission of Zambia and other duty bearers for redress. It further calls on polling officials, political party agents, security personnel, voters, and all election stakeholders to remain calm, patient, and cooperative as the voting process continues. The Ziko Lathu Consortium reaffirms its commitment to impartial, evidence-based monitoring throughout the electoral period and will issue an updated statement at 16 hours later today. I thank you.